it's Guido coming at you with the tank review. We have finally finished the Juto. Not that it took a lot of grinding to get there, but time-wise, we have unlocked the Tier 8. So we're going to do a review on the Tier 7, the new Japanese heavy tank line, the Juto. Remember, this is the new line that just came out, and it is a more classic heavy line, vice the Oni, the Oho, the whatever the 9 is, and the Type 5, Type 4, Type 5, right? So it's not the big battleship gun, slow behemoth, super heavy idea. These are more classic heavy tanks. So as you can see it looks more like a kind of standard heavy tank at Tier 7, relatively central turret. We'll take a look at the armor in just a second. Quite a big turret, actually. It's a big billboard-sized target in terms of shooting it. You're not going to have a whole lot of trouble as far as moving the pipper on this guy and taking shots. It's just a great big old tank. It is decently mobile. Is it on the size? Yeah, see, it's T-29-esque in terms of its size. Gone under the Tiger, and the Tiger just feels like a kind of smaller tank. Relatively same size there. But a big square box looking thing. Alright, this is the Tier 7. Let's take a quick look at the tech tree. You'll also notice that it has currently 5 crew. When you move on to the Tier 8, that's when it goes to the 4 crew configuration, and you lose the radio operator, I believe, which then goes to the commander. So a bit of annoying. We've talked about it on the 6 and the 7, I think even the 5, and it's a bit annoying that it's got a really big crew at 5, and then it kind of pairs down until you get to the 8 and there's 4 crew. So this guy will fall out and I won't have to worry about him anymore. He'll hang out in this tank. And these 4 right here, which are better crew members, obviously you can see based on the skills, they'll move on to the Tier 8. Alright, what is this thing all about? Japanese heavy tank project based on German tank building. It looks a bit like a German tank using German technical documentation. Rapid increase for armoring and armaments. It was closed at the design stage. Right, so obviously they needed to keep making things they knew how to make because they were getting desperate and they never really got past the design stage. This whole line is essentially that kind of idea. It's tanks that never really existed. But pretty cool looking tank, and it's a nice addition to the game in terms of a standard heavy tank for the Japanese instead of the super heavy line that, kind of had mixed results, to be quite honest, out there. The way I've got mine set up, we've got a vents, an IA, and a rammer. Other options, obviously standard heavy stuff to think about. You could go with the turbo if you like more speed. You could go with improved hardening. There is no vert stab for this, hence I'm going to use the IA. That's basically all your options as far as I'm concerned in there. I'm running 31 regular, 24 APCR. The 230 penetration on the APCR is a little bit anemic. I went through a lot of the Tier 7 heavies. I did not realize that the penetration in general on those is pretty poor. Rarely does it get much above about 250. That was very interesting. There might be some outliers in there. I didn't look at every one of them. This one's on the low end. They all tend to be about 240 to 250 right in there, with a couple lower and maybe some higher, but that's what you're getting out of it. I ran 2 large kits and a fire extinguisher. And click on that. There we go. So we've got the crew, as I mentioned. This guy's got 3 working on his 4th. The others are, or 4 working on his 5th. These are 3 working on the 4th. As I said, old Naoto Yagi is going to drop out when I move this crew on to the Tier 8. Let's take a quick look at a comparison. What I've selected for you today is the T-29. Used to be the top of the class. It's fallen off a little bit since the nerf, but we'll put it up there anyway just to kind of compare armor on the turret especially. The Tiger, the Pew Pew tank, pretty solid Tier 7, and another of the newer tanks, relatively anyway, is the Chinese BZ-58. So we look at that, the Juto's coming in at 320 alpha, right in line with these other guys, not as high as the Tiger, not as high as the 390 on the Russian 122 equipped Tier 7s. Average pen of the standard round, 195. Remember, it was 230 then when you dab number 2 with an APCR round. Or really, I think it's the Japanese AP round, so it's not actually APCR. That does have some small ramifications. Let me make sure I'm right. That is true. No, it is APCR. I'm sorry. It's actually an APCR round, not a gold AP round. All right. Gives us a 5.54 rate of fire, which is fast. Not quite as fast as the Tiger 1. Gun loading at 10 seconds. Sliding us down here, we get an average DPM of 1772, which is better than the T29 and the BZ58. T29 is recently nerfed, but not as good as the Tiger. Remember, and the Tiger used to be even better than that. Remember when it fired even faster? They gave it higher alpha and slowed down its fire rate a bit. I loved that Tiger. To go off on a bit of a tangent, the Tiger before, even lower, I think it was 240 alpha, something like that, but an even faster firing rate. Man, that was fun. -10 gun depression is good. Look at this aiming time, interesting. So it does have one of the more accurate guns of these four. Not quite the .33 of the Tiger 1, but it is .34. Soft stats obviously matter, but its aim time is nice. The gun is comfortable. I will tell you that from my limited experience with it. We'll look at my stats in a minute. I felt like the gun was a fairly comfortable gun. The reload seemed a little long for what you were getting, but at the end of the day, 1772 is competitive at this tier. Hit points okay at 1250, not quite the Tiger 1's 1500. But this was interesting, the armor. So the whole armor is pretty bad at 85. There is some angling. The turret armor looks good at 200, but it's very deceptive, and I'll show you exactly what I mean when we look at the armor profile. It's certainly not the 279 or the T29. Tiger just isn't known for its armor, although its sides are nice for side scraping, and the BZ at 220 has 20 more. But this is deceptive, this turret. We'll talk about that when we get there. Mobility is okay. We're looking at 35, 12 backwards, nice traverse speed, and it's got a good specific power of 15.45, so it will get up and go pretty quickly up to 35. So it felt comfortable to drive as a heavy. So it's not medium-esque mobility, but it felt comfortable. And it's got the best view range of all of them at 382, which is nice. And of course, Tier 7 heavies are really not known for their camo. It has a pretty atrocious camo. It's really at T29 levels of camo based on its size out there. So what do we have? We have a relatively accurate 320 alpha gun with a -10 gun depression and what seems like on paper a decent turret. But hold the phone on the turret. Hold the phone on the turret. I guess I have probably previewed that enough. Let's talk about what I'm talking about, all right? All right, what do we got here? Here we go. We got a Juto, all right, yep. And what is going on here with the green? Well, interesting. That piece of armor, this angled armor right here, my friends, is thickness of 120. Did it not say 200? It did. It's this tiny box right here that's the 200. Alrighty then. Now, if you get a little angle because of the angle of the turret, you get some auto ricochet stuff, or close to it anyway, if somebody happens to hit you to the right there. But of course, if you're doing that, then they're probably selecting this side, and wow, there's not much there. Also, it's not a Tuma. Yeah, that's going to collect shots, guys. That is a shot collector right there. It's a great big catcher's mitt. It says shoot me, and it is relatively large, so you will find people picking on that Tuma on the top. So really, okay, not great, right? This is -10 is nice, but first of all, the giant tower of tumor comes over any hill you're trying to poke over, right? If you're doing a hold down stuff. Then comes the turret, which is questionable at best. There is some spaced armor here that will mess with heat a little bit. It's pretty thin at 5 millimeters. Also, it doesn't really, obviously, if you shoot here, then it's no factor. All right, we'll take a look at that, what that looks like on the actual tank in just a second. But yeah, questionable, my friends. I found that very interesting that it showed 200, but it was for this very small box right here. That's your 200. Then you get the mantlet involved, and we got all kinds of space stuff. Although the mantlet itself, how many weird pieces of armor do we have here? We have a 200. We have a 200. We have some weird 80, and then 200. So it's a very interesting angled, or not angled, but stair-stepped amount of armors right here on its mantlet. Strange, strange, strange. How did I do in this thing? I am currently at 71%. 14 battles. Don't get too excited. 10 victories, 4 defeats. Looks really great, but that is such a small sample size. I am clearly not going to get to 100 battles at 71%. This feels like a 55%er to me. Anything over 50 will be great, but this feels like a 55. We'll see how it goes. It's actually doing well right now, but it is early days. Hits are low, though, for its accuracy. I was a bit surprised that my hits were that bad, but again, 14 battles. You know, if I had a battle where I knocked down several things, several knockable, downable things, then that's going to hurt my hit rate. Damage ratio 1.2 is a little low. Destruction is horrible at 0.67. That does not speak to a 71%, right? So I'm being carried to some wins right there. Ouch! Ouch! Ouch and ouch. But armor use efficiency 0.15 on a heavy? What? Now it is, again, it's a small sample size, but that speaks to a armor setup on its turret that is not so much. 1,352 is low, especially for a 71% win rate. That has to come up if I'm going to maintain anything above 50%. And assist is okay right there. I did manage a 2,400 damage battle with 4 kills. I think that might be the one that I show you here in just a minute. So that's how I'm doing with it. How is everybody else doing? Early days, guys, but we can take a look at this and go, all right, Juto is number 2 at the moment, 50.04, actually 51.63. Average player win rate, I think that's an average, 50.04. I don't know if it's an average or mean or what's going on there. But win rate difference, 1.59 bodes well for the tank. What is the average damage? They're doing 1,032, so I'm a little ahead of the game there. The average hit percentage, I'm low. It's showing 72. That's pretty good. So it's actually is decent. Pen's at 72. These are interesting numbers. I like that they put them on there. They're often very similar. So 72.9, 72, let's call it, well, 71.9, but let's call it 72% hit. And of those, 72.37 pen. You can do the math on figuring out what that is. I guess you'd have to know what the number is that they use, though, the total number. Spots are low, as you might expect with a heavy. So very interesting. Lots of battles being played in it. Again, early days, better players, more experienced tend to play it in early days. Take a look at here, and it's tracking pretty close to people's win rate. A little bit of a bonus right there. So no alarming numbers in there, at least early. We'll see what happens in a year or two. I suspect it might drop down just a little bit just based on the early numbers are typically a little high, but it's certainly not bad based on what I'm seeing here. Right? It didn't come into the picture in the middle. It came into the picture at the top and right near it. So we may be looking at a top 10 kind of tier 7 tank right here, guys, which is not saying a whole lot because there aren't that many, right? Top 10 is top half, essentially. So I think it might sit there in the top half just based on its numbers and how it's doing. All right, I think that is all the talking I have to do about this thing, my friends, the Juto. Let's go take a look at some gameplay, and then we will wrap her up. All right, for our first gameplay example on the Juto, we are here on Ghost Town, spawned into the north. We're going to head to the heavy brawling area. We are bottom tier on this one. We're going to have a decent result out of it. Honestly, this tank is a bit like, feels a little bit like a Tiger, to be honest. Although I don't think it reloads quite as fast as the Tiger does. And maybe has a bit of a better turret, both layout and thickness. So we're just going to go to the heavy brawl. We'll go ahead and load up APCR. We have plenty of ammo in this thing. I'm not initially going to go over there where the Progetto is. And one of the reasons is we have 3 guys stacked up there, or is it 4? 3. There's no reason for my little tier 7 to go in there and start clipping guys and pushing them and getting in their way of maneuvering. I'll go over there if I can help a little while later. We'll just keep an eye on what's going on there. We'll take a look on this corner and maybe I can put some fire support. But all of a sudden I'm looking over on the west side and going, that's not good. We'll just take a quick stab in there. Maybe we get lit. Oh, look at that. There's a fella. Fairly quick reload. So he's just sitting there being dopey. We'll just shoot him. There we go. 334. Nice. Go, go. Get around, get around. Now I'm expecting the 34-2 to be looking at me at this point, potentially. Now that he knows I'm there. The Chieftain P pulls back. It is helpful that I have a guy right there. That other VZ kind of has him busy. I'm still concerned about what's going on the hill. Paying attention to what's going on behind me a little bit. And they're starting to kind of push in. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Could be bad, right? We might be pushing too early. This dude is going to shoot maybe the guy pushing him. Great. He's fired, so at least I won't take a shot from him. And we'll shoot into his upper plate. Great. Should have aimed better, but I was worried about maybe getting hit from above. T-77. All right, someone is shooting him from the side, so one of the smaller tanks is up there. Artie goes in. I look back. It looks like they're making a bit of a push. The Conqueror's gone into the pit. The 7.52 is pushed forward. And a little indecision on my part. I'm like, all right, do I want to go help these dudes? Is this push going to get punched in the face? But I don't really see a lot of their heavies in here, to be honest. The Tiger Mouse, one of them is over on the other side. So we'll take a peek here. Maybe we can shoot into this guy's top turret. He peeks out. Come on, baby. Give me a little weak spot shot. Not there. See, now I'm kind of in the way of these heavier dudes. This is not going to work, so nothing happens there. Tiger P's on my side, and let's just push in. Now, I didn't really realize that Tiger Mouse was back behind that rubble pile. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't hit me in the side, but he's pretty busy, it seems like. I'm like, all right, let's get a shot on this guy. I don't even know if that's a weak spot. I don't think it is. That was just a dumb shot. I was trying not to come all the way around the corner. Okay, already hits. We'll just get rid of that stun. All right, that dude shot. We're pushing him. We're just going to come out here, try to get a shot into the corner to get a track. But what we're really going to do is shoot right into the corner of the heaviest armor he has and bounce. So not really great shot selection overall here. There we go. We finally get one in the lower plate. 387 will work. I'm like, all right, TNH, kill this dude. There we go. Push across. We have a 7.52 and sneak one into the front track, but don't track him. That's unfortunate. Things are looking pretty good. We do have to be careful right here. Problem with what we have going on is there's quite a few sniper lama ding dangs hanging out back here. If we all sort of start milling about out in the open here, these guys are going to get all kinds of shots on us. We also don't want to let a 7.52 gank one of us. So I do see that the VZ's pushing in on him. I was a little bit delayed. He gets hit, and I'm like, okay, we got to go help him. I wish the other guys would have pushed in with me a bit earlier. Let's just bounce off this guy's turret. Yep, perfect. Exactly. Tiger Pete, yep. Both bounced. Let's push in here. I'm like, all right, we got to get rid of this guy. I don't want him to kill my TNH buddy. We'll shoot him in the side. Ouch. All right, yep, there's the Sioux. That's what I was worried about. Oh, yep, that's also what I was worried about. Another guy camp a lama ding dang up there. We're going to get a nice dispersion roll on that one. Thank you much. And we got 1,752. This game is pretty much all over, but the shouting. The large individual is warming up to sing. And it's just a solid heavy, guys. Thanks, dude. I don't know why. Oh, great. I don't know why he needed to carve in like that when there was two of us. Come in here and put a shot on this guy. There we go. Does get irritating when people don't work together very well. I'm worried about that artillery again. He's back in that corner such that he can hit me right there. So we'll try to put these buildings in the way of him. We'll keep this dude lit. Maybe I'll get the assist for it. There's that shot again. He's up on the hill. That's why. There is a 45 TP that is AFK apparently. The 34-2 dies over on the other side. The types pushed him. That's good. I know there's a Sioux. I don't want to just go blazing out into the open because I don't know where the Sioux... Oh, never mind. I do know where the Sioux is. He's moved up to that building. I just shot him a while ago. I know exactly where he is. So the AFK guy did not help their team. There goes an arty shot. We'll shoot him. Nope, we won't shoot him. Oh, there's a fella right there. We'll shoot him. Nope, we won't shoot him. I wish I'd actually drove. I wish I'd have gone that way into that ravine because that's where they're going to end up finding the artillery. I was thinking maybe the other one was up top with him and the type might light him up or he may make a runner this way, but that's not where he is. The Hori 2, I believe, finds him here momentarily. There he is. We'll just stay on and grab some cap points because, you know, why not? Dude takes a hit and another one. Just a solid heavy tank, guys. I mean, it does heavy tank stuff. We didn't manage to bounce anything. We did eat a couple big shots in there. So the armor wasn't really helpful on this game. But bottom tier, we were able to squeeze out 2,041 damage, 781 assists, no kills, but a solid little effort in a pretty good tier 7 heavy tank. Remember, there's no gun cooling or anything going on with this particular tank. It's just more or less a straight up heavy tank, which is good because the Japanese don't really have one of those, right? The other tier 7 was the Oni, which was just a great big boat of a tank with a relatively large gun. So it's nice that the Japanese now have kind of a standard heavy tank line going on right there. All right, let's wrap this up. It turns out that was not, in fact, my 2400 damage game. It was roughly 2000 or so. Bottom tier, though. So, competent. I think the best thing we can say about this tank is that its gun is pretty good. You got good gun depression. It has decent mobility. The armor is extremely questionable, and I'm not even sure we can call it situational. I said we'd look at it. I mean, here's the visual model of it, and it's this little section that's 200, guys. So all of this even in this hole, which is angled but not amazingly so, is vulnerable. And then we've got these side cheeks here, guys. So even as thin as the hole is, if you try to come out and side scrape, well, they're just going to shoot you right in that flat spot right there, guys. If not just right through your turret, depending on what they've got. Or pick at your big Tuma. I mean, there's all kinds of options, fellas, for taking this thing on. So I would say it's solid. I know earlier in the video I said it might be in the top 10. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that it's doing as well as it is just based on the numbers. But it's one of those tanks, I think, that has enough goodness in enough places that it can be a solid heavy. The armor is just super questionable as far as a heavy goes. It looks good on paper, but it's I think well worse than the paper seems to indicate. So that's what I've got on the Juto, guys. I hope you have a great one. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw, hit me with a subscribe. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you.